it will be a very tight race. But I was not surprised that the only surprise was not that Donald Trump won, that he won with more margin than I expected. I thought he was going to win, but with a lesser margin. I remember that in 2016, Donald Trump won only the Electoral College. He didn't win popular votes. Hillary Clinton actually won the popular votes. So it was the Electoral College slim victory that was able to, win Hillary. So we're now thinking that, oh, okay, because of all the propaganda, all the, the media was against him. Donald Trump is not a friend of the media in the United States. In his first tenure as the president, there was this dinner, White House dinner, press dinner that they do with the media. I think it was monthly. Donald Trump came in and cancelled it. I said that you guys are all fake news. So he was abusing all of them that they are fake news. I think Fox is his friend, Fox News. Apart from Fox News and maybe one other, he would during the White House briefing, he would tell them that you don't sit down, you are fake news, I don't talk here, So he was not happy with a lot of them because of the propaganda role they played against him in 2016. Then when it came to 2024, it was even worse. The profile, the framing of Donald Trump by the American media, especially the CNN, was as if it was evil that came from an alien land, with all of evil on him, that he was not fit to be president, he was not fit morally, he was not fit ethically, he was not fit even spiritually, he was not even fit even intellectually. So they framed him up as somebody who was under, and that's why when there was an assassination attempt on him, some people linked it, especially people from Donald Trump's camp, linked it to the narrative and the framing from the media, especially from CNN and their cohort, who now framed. And now, there was desperation on the part of Kamala Harris. You could see the desperation building up. They were getting people from former people that worked with Donald Trump to come and cast slurs on him. They were bringing Republicans, top Republicans. Even someone like Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was the former governor of California, a Republican, also cast slurs on him. They brought people who worked with him, Donald Trump, when he was the president the first time. All those against him. They took him to court in a bid to stop him, and they accused him of anti-democratic, that he was the one that made his people to storm the Capitol, which these are not proven anywhere. So they were just relying on the tweets that he sent out. So all these things collapsed in the face of judicial interrogations, and even the one he was finally convicted. And, they say, well, this is convicted on this, he should pay the fine, but it does not justify him or hinder him from running for presidency. And then there was another case from one state that was against him, that his name would not be in the ballot. The Supreme Court overruled that. So there was all attempts. So what is clear is that the establishment was afraid of Donald Trump. The United States establishment, or in this part of the country, what to call the cabal, was afraid. Why? Because it's not an establishment man. It's not a regular run-of-the-mill politician. Most of the politicians, they have a pedigree, there's a political pedigree, have political harmonization, have political taproots, have political mentors or godfathers in the system who brought them up and who played. We know the story of Obama, for example. Obama was brought up by the Kennedys, and he was made to speak in the DSC convention, and so was in 2006, I think, also. So those people are brought up. Of course, when you check somebody like George Bush Jr. And Senior, we know, the Cheney family, even his deputy. We know they are linked to Halliburton and the rest. So America has a culture of people who they groom within their system, and that's why you see senators, some of them staying 30 years, some 40 years, some 20-something years, and then you see their trajectory. So after a point, they will now throw you up as, So when they threw up Kamala Harris as vice president to Biden, they were playing the game of, okay, people with color, immigrants, African Americans, Latinos, and other Hispanics, and all those groups, bringing them together to say, okay, here's the vote. And there was so much campaign against Donald Trump, especially the issue of the way he handled the COVID it was not such. He was not moved by it, and again, he's not moved by climate change rhetorics. I think he opened some mines, some coal mines in I think Dakota or some other places in the United States. He opened the coal mines, and he didn't believe in war. So people who are in the business of manufacturing weapons didn't like that idea that he was not a warmonger. Rather, he was like, why is he going to spend money in social country fighting war? And one of the things is that American infrastructure, especially their physical infrastructure, the social infrastructure, is decaying. Because they are old. Most of them were built in the 60s, some of them in the 30s, some of them are even 200 years old. Some of the train tracks, this thing in America, they're over 100 years old and all those things. So instead of Americans spending money to make their infrastructure modern, like what we are seeing in some parts of Europe and maybe China and some other modern cities, American cities are not modern. Most of them are old. So because they left home and keep spending money. Okay, look at Ukraine, just 2 years old war in Ukraine alone, going to 3 years though in February. They have spent over $100 billion. Do you know what $100 billion would have done for the United States of America? So when they now entered, Kamala Harris and this Biden entered, they didn't know what to do with the economy. Because even that post-COVID era, and Trump was trying to make sure it was not that bad. It didn't hit them as supposed to hit them. But when these guys entered, there's post-COVID-19 regression, retrogression. They were talking about economic recession post-COVID. Everything, the job gains that were made got low. American inflation spiraled up. The workers could not be able to go home with meaningful pay. Job losses were everywhere. In the midst of that, you approved a $60 billion package for war in Ukraine. You keep on approving packages for war. So I think the people got tired. And when they were now trying to do the election, the only person that could threaten the Democrats from continuing the presidency was Donald Trump. So everything was thrown at him. And at a point, I started asking myself, what is this man made of? That the more you are hitting him, it's like he doesn't even care. In
this part of the world, they will call him Manuel Abuebona.
That is just it. You are that an animal that is eating, that shooting at the animal is still eating his food. And that is the kind of attitude he displayed. And then because of the rhetoric, they tried to assassinate him. The person that tried to, a 20-year-old boy who was impressionable, because of what he was hearing. He thought he was saving America or something like that. And then the second attempt. So these are the things that were clear indications that it was really a threat. Because he doesn't need you. He doesn't need your money. He has money. He doesn't need you to, he doesn't need to rely on you for him to, become, and then he had some support also. People like Elon Musk. It was a very viable support. Then, I think Donald Trump was smart. For example, he invited into the cryptocurrency thing.
Yes, let's take it one by one, because you've listed a lot of things, but I'm not sure also the point that he's been a president for 4 years should count for something. So there is that experience on how to execute a campaign, which a lot of people in the Democratic Party may not have really taken cognizance of this. This is his third attempt. He won the first one, tried to win a second time and lost. But not necessarily because they ran a bad campaign, but because the wave was against them because of handling of COVID. Now, in this election, it looked like he decided to go all out. He campaigned with all his might. It is on record that in many places, they didn't do well in the last election. He went there like 3 times to campaign. So, was the campaign strategy also part of the
campaign strategy was part of, but there's no experience you can get that will be more than the power of the incumbency that Kamala Harris enjoyed. It's like Kamala Harris enjoyed a lot of what will I say? A lot of in terms of social credits, in terms of sentimentalities that he enjoyed. First, she's a black woman. Secondly, she's a woman. The same Donald Trump has defeated a woman before. Let's give her a chance this time around. So when you go to America, a lot of my friends there, a lot of even colleagues, you know, when you are talking to them over the time, especially the female, you ask them, oh, it's Kamala Harris. Why? The only thing that, the reasons that came up that why they should vote for Kamala Harris is because she's black, because she's a woman. Oh, Donald Trump is a pervert. Just repeating what the media, CNN, them and all were talking about it. There was no concrete, there was nothing concrete about why they wanted to vote for Kamala Harris. There was nothing concrete. So those are sentimentalities of race, gender, and slur on Donald Trump. So she was not really, and then at a lot of places she was vacillating. You know, she didn't know where to, she was didn't take a stand on many issues. For example, like with some of the unions, she didn't take a stand about what she's going to do about their welfare, about, she didn't make promises. Even the Israel issue, she was still dancing around it until like 2-3 weeks to the election. Because she didn't want to offend the Pakistani, I mean the Arab community over there. So she danced around so many issues. And then she could not able to extricate herself. What she tried desperately to do was to say, oh, I am not part of the Biden, I will not do what Biden. No, they tell her, no, you can't. You are part of the Biden administration. So you are a failure. And Donald Trump, you know, magnified that a lot in his campaign.
That he failed. He kept telling him that he failed.
That you cannot pretend to be not part of this administration that failed Americans. And that resonated a lot among, especially the working class. It resonated a lot because the Americans' assessment of the Biden administration was a failure.
All right.
And also, the president, when they told him to step down.
Yeah, so I'm just coming to that, which is, of course, a lot of people, before the first debate that created all the problems for the Democratic Party, it appeared that there was already cracks within the Democratic Party because they were already seeing a declining Joe Biden. And it was so obvious, isn't it? Could Joe Biden have stepped down earlier instead of going into that first debate? Or they needed that debate to prove to the world that he wasn't fit to run for a second term?
I think Joe Biden should not have even gone for the first term. I don't know the calculation the Democrats were making that made Joe Biden contest the presidency in 2020. They would have looked for another Democrat that could, but they were looking for somebody that could push out Donald Trump by all means. That's what they wanted to achieve. They didn't look at the long term. So in that desperation to push out a Donald Trump, they miscalculated. I would say it's a miscalculation. And what they did was they wanted to get somebody who was popular. You know, Joe Biden was very popular in the Senate. Then he was there for 8 years as vice president. So he was very popular. They were looking to use him. But even as that, from day one, you could find out that the man was not healthy. It's just that he deteriorated during his presidency. During his presidency, he was not very healthy. He was not young too. I mean, he was also an old man. So that and the health was, beginning to tell on him. Because if you know Joe Biden, when he was a younger one, he was a very fiery man.
Yeah,
when you see him argue, he was fire. He spits fire.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
Even when he was vice president, you could see, even if he was older, but you could see the charisma. So it was a Joe Biden that took over in 2020 was not the same Joe Biden. So you could know that something was definitely wrong. And to pop up the populism, they rode on populism. The Democrats rode on populism in 2020, and that was what pushed them up there. And when they got there, the populism faded. They had to roll up your sleeves and start the work. They couldn't do much. So they were just looking at propaganda. So what they now do, they had no reply to the questions that were begging for answers. So what did they do? They went on a image damaging campaign against Donald Trump. So all those things, saying that he's a pervert, the court told you he's not. They told you that he's anti-democratic, that he's told the court acquitted him, a lot of things. So that shows that the Democrats didn't prepare well for the election. So they were just sentimental. And then when they now made the mistake of saying Joe Biden should not contest, I mean, it was a foxpower. They were not supposed to do that. It was also a desperation taken too far.
So what would you have expected the Democratic Party to do within that circumstances when they saw that Joe Biden hadn't done well in that debate? It was obvious that he wouldn't do well because of his health. Apart from Kamala Harris, perhaps, would you have expected the Democratic Party to hold a proper presidential primary?
At that time, it was already late to even start doing primaries and all those kind of things. I mean, it was late for them. And for throw up a new person at that point was going to be a big problem. But if I were the, I would just allow them run it. And then when they win it, if they can win it and they win it, perhaps that's why they can now tell him to resign as president, so that Kamala Harris can take over as vice president and take over as president. That would have been the game that would have played. But we could see that the Democrats, they cracked the Democratic Party by that action they took, but Joe Biden had a lot of supporters. And Joe Biden himself started no more showing enthusiasm.
Yeah, that's it.
There was even a time they accused him of wearing the Donald Trump cap.
Yeah, I mean, anything is possible in these days of AI. But then, we didn't quite see him campaigning for Kamala Harris.
He was angry.
Except I was missing something, or I missed something. I didn't see Joe Biden campaign for Kamala Harris.
Well, I think if you know Joe Biden, he's not a pretentious fellow. Those who knew Joe Biden at his early when he was in the Senate, he doesn't pretend. When the others, there was a popular speech he made in the Senate against apartheid. This was when America and Britain were sponsoring apartheid in South Africa.
That's right.
He stood up in the Congress and told everybody off. He told the United States off, the president off. He told all his fellow Congress people off that they are all pretenders. That they have been, what that will happen in South Africa, being sponsored and enabled by America and Britain is evil. And such a man, he was basically forced out. He was forced out from even when after that first debate, he was still saying that he's still in the race. And then there was this meeting that practically forced him to drop his ambition. Of course, he will not be happy. And being a man who is not into pretending, he just go and run your race. So you say that most of the time, he just stayed away. You didn't see him in any campaign. How many campaigns did you see him? He said they recruited Obama, the former president, to come speak good grammar. But Americans were tired of his grammar. He didn't move anything.
Well, that's the point, because he is not on the ballot. That's what makes it different. I mean, if you're not on the ballot and you're going to campaign for someone, what's the worth of your campaigning for the person? Because if you're campaigning for someone, that person should bring something to the table, which brings us to what did Kamala Harris bring to the ticket? There are a lot of argument about whether she really did the job in terms of campaigning and sold herself to the Americans or American electorate as to whether she could be trusted with being the president of the U.S.
Kamala Harris does not have the political experience to lead the United States of America. She was, I think, a senator once. Then she was a good prosecutor. You can't take that from her. But even in the prosecution, she was being accused of many things against blacks. Some of her prosecution issues were brought up. The Republican really did a good job in going to dig her out. And they were using some of her past, some of the cases she defended and all those things to start, hitting her with it. And, there was a particular one, I can't remember it vividly, but that was when she claimed to be defending that she was for the black. And the Republicans said, no, you jailed a black man who was doing this, doing that. And that cast a slur. So at a point, I remember Donald Trump making jest of her, whether she was actually an Indian or that there was a time she claimed to be an Indian. And then later, she started claiming she's Afro-American. That where does she even belong? That got people laughing. So, when you think you are smart, sometimes when you start vacillating just to be politically correct, that's what you get. And so Americans looked through and found out that what she brought to the table was her gender, female, she's a woman, so vote for me because I'm a woman. Vote for me because I'm part of you, I'm an immigrant. And I will support you. Vote for me because I am credible. I'm better than Donald Trump. I'm a Democrat. The tangible issues that Americans were grappling with were not addressed. Issues of, especially the twin issues of unemployment and inflation.
That's right.
Those things that they didn't give. She didn't give the answer.
Yeah, I mean, talking about giving the answers, first of all, she was accused of not doing media interviews, and then she started doing them, but it looked like she didn't quite give a good account of herself in those interviews. Do you think this is also down to her inability to, put in a nutshell, that she didn't have the gift of the gab? When you compare her to someone like Hillary Clinton, who ran some time ago on the same Democratic ticket. I mean, if you have to place her side by side, Hillary Clinton, in terms of quality of delivery in their campaigns, is there just one aspect of Kamala Harris's campaign you can crop out and use as a reel on social media and say, oh, that speech was wonderful?
Well, some of these things depend on the kind of speech writers you have. If you have great speech writers, it's probably you'll be able to deliver great speeches. If you don't have great speech writers, you will not deliver. So the ability to recruit good speech writers also, because most of those
but you should also have an eye for a good speech. I mean, if you are not brilliant enough, or if you are not able to see that this speech does not reflect who you are, nothing stops you from tinkering with a speech written for you.
If you have a good speech writer, what you see when you start reading what you say, I mean, everybody will start clapping, thinking it was you that composed it. They have a dreams of this world. The Obama speeches, Obama had good speech writers. And then what you now need to do for yourself is the delivery.
That's right.
So if first of all you have to have a good speech, then you now learn how to deliver it well. But even if you deliver a bad speech, well, it's still a bad speech, because the content of the speech does not answer to the question that were there. So American presidents all over time, as a lot of them, not all anyway, have been blessed with the gift of oratory. They are good at oratory, but a few of them were also disasters. But in the recent past, someone like Bill Clinton, is a good orator. He spoke very well. The person that took over from him, he's who? Obama. Obama spoke well. In fact, that was what sold him to people. And this guy is a good, but he doesn't have speech. I don't think he writes speech. Donald Trump. Because his own style is to connect. His own style is to connect with the crowd and exchange banters with them, fill their pause, throw it back. So he has a way. Sometimes he has a script though, but most of the time he just picks from the script, throws it, and deviates from it, and then starts. Then the next thing. He likes working on people's emotions and sensibility. So you may look at it, that's a great boy there. Bring him up, He just plays with the people. And because of also, some people have already loved him as a superstar in the past. Some people who don't know about Donald Trump, let them know that he's a TV show host star in the past. So one of his out of his other engagements, one of that is very popular with people is The Apprentice that he did over the years. And he became popular. He also did, I think, modeling shows and so many other things. So he has been a star. He has built a cultic thing around him. And then he has been able to prove that he can walk the talk. He proved it in his first coming. The things he said he would do, he did them. Some of them were not palatable to the establishment or to some people, but when he was being accused of doing some certain things during his first, that were not too palatable to people. He said, but these are the things I promised in my campaign. So I got to deliver on them. So, for example, one of the things that caused controversy was recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. He did it.
He did it. He opened it and boasted about it.
And then one of the things that people were really afraid of, especially NATO is shaky. Because from whatever he's saying that the war in Ukraine, America will not support it.
If you want to fight a war, you pay for the war.
Yes. And in his first tenure, I remember him many times saying that America cannot be funding NATO. That many NATO nations are not up to their, they are not living up to their financial commitments. That is basically America can reload. That America will stop funding NATO. So many other times. There was another one that he tried that America will stop funding if other partners do not bring their own. And so it's not pretentious about those things. He said that he's in the other 24 hours or whatever he said that you end the war in Ukraine. How about this? Cancel all the executive, all the world, So this guy does not pretend about these things. He has also said it that he was the president, that Iran will not do what they did to Israel.
That's right.
And everybody will straighten up. So some of these things he's trying to do, I think, is policies he just wants to continue from where he stopped.
All right. We're due for a break. When we return here on the Eastern Eye, we'll find out exactly what a second Trump presidency holds for the world, and more specifically now, for Africa. Stay with us.
Welcome to Afia TV, your go-to channel for excellent news and incredible shows that keeps you IEI, that is, informed, entertained, and inspired. Need a break?
Ladies and germs, welcome to Lunch Break on Afia TV.
Join Choco to vibe and chill on lunch break at 2 p.m. for the latest trends in music and entertainment.
Not like I have big money.
Dive into the world of innovation and creativity with Rochelle on Anka.
It means art in English.
Where creative minds and groundbreaking ideas come to life. Tune in every weekday at 8 p.m. Do not miss Afia TV Official, your perfect dose of laughter, where they discuss what is currently trending on social media every day at 5:30 p.m. on Afia TV.
But in this economy, the savings will save you, man.
And that's not all. Stay tuned for more exciting shows on Afia TV. Catch us on DSTV channel 254 and GoTV channel 17.
Looking to grow your business? At Afia TV, we've got just what you need. With our various on-screen advertising options like speechbags, lower third, sidebars, right in front of your audience. With our lower third, your brand messages appear during the most viewed programs on TV, allowing your audience to see your message without interrupting their TV experience. Now, if you want to go big, our speechbag is ideal because it puts your brand messages on spotlight without interrupting viewers' experience. With our sidebars, your brand messages also takes the spotlight on our screen, ensuring brand exposure. These advertising options are affordable, effective, and designed to drive results. Get started today and watch your business shoot up. For more inquiries, call the numbers on your screen.
You're welcome back to the Eastern Eye here on Afia TV. It's a program that x-rays the political, social, and economic developments around us. My name is Alex Owodo, and I still have in the studio with me Dr. Ambrose Iboke, International Affairs Analyst. So, Trump will be president. That's no longer a speculation. Maybe a month ago, it would have been a speculation. He won emphatically. We saw it. The results were streaming in. In fact, right from the onset of that election, you knew that Trump could win because of how the results were coming in. And at a point, you knew Kamala had no path to victory. Now that he will be president for another 4 years, you've touched on what could happen to NATO and other allies of the US. What about Africa? Donald Trump has never hidden the fact that he's not a fan of Africa. He didn't say he hated Africa, but he's not telling you he's going to Africa. I mean, what is it Trump will have for Africa or against Africa?
What I'm trying to smile was I remember the name he used.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying not to use that.
It's not the name you should use on air. You know what? The name was very damning. And some Nigerians were angry. Even somebody asked me today. Well, I said, well, you know, it's not a man that is not a pretentious fellow. So,
absolutely.
And he doesn't have the language of diplomatic nicety in his way he talks. So he talks the way he thinks. So he doesn't try to sugarcoat his words. So that is what he meant, and that is how he said it. And he doesn't care whether you're hurt by that or not. But again, well, what he said was true. And if we are to assess his statements. That was like 20. He made that statement like in 20, during his presidency. I said, what happens now? Almost 5 years or 6 years later, after I made that statement, that goes to show you that he will say worse things now. By the time he enters next year, because Nigeria is worse off. Nigeria's poverty level has increased. Nigeria's economic damnation has increased. We are going spiraling down. Our currency is becoming like Zimbabwe or Venezuela currency, and so the value is eroding very fast. So it's even worse. So I was not telling the person, only God knows the language he will lose for us next year. Even worse than that other language he used. For Africa generally, I feel that the Trump presidency will not be interested in scavenging for exploitation for Africa. I don't think they want to take sides when there is war. I also don't think they want to engage in clandestine moves. Back the corner. I don't think that he wants to do that. I rather think you want to, maintain the strategic military bases in Africa. I think the African Command is working. I think there's a base in Ghana. In terms of military alliances that he had with the U.S. has with Africa, he's going to maintain that. I think he's going to run. In the Mediterranean, the relationship we hold. Around the Suez Canal, relationship we hold, those international the waterways, so that people like the Houthi rebels don't take over there, and all those. So all those Mediterranean, he will hold all those ones, and he will have also the strategic alliance with Saudi Arabia. There will be a long time of US that will not change. In fact, Donald Trump is a fan of the prince.
That's right.
I remember in his first tenure,
that was the first.
They did a $100 billion arms deal where Donald Trump believes in making businesses for America.
That was his first trip outside of the US to the Saudi Arabia.
So he's a friend of the prince, and I think they struck a good personal and diplomatic relationship that made the prince under $100 billion some war equipment. So that's how Trump sees an economy. He wants to make money for the US, not carry money go to Ukraine. And so if you are saying if we can make weapon, the Tucano jets and all those things, I think it was during his time it was also commissioned and all those things. So I think he wants businesses for America. So as far as that goes, he will want to come to Africa to negotiate businesses for American companies. That is what. But I don't think he wants. He's interested. He will be interested in modeling with politics and all those things. But American interests, like he said, American first. It's always his mantra. So he's not interested in trying to solve your problem. He's interested in what will America gain in association with him.
That's a very good point. But if you look at what is happening with the rest of the world, with Russia, with North Korea, with China, you will understand there's now a group called the BRICS nations, and they are coming together and coming together fast. So do you think that he will continue to be indifferent? I mean, if he doesn't want to get involved in Russia's business, Russia is making new friends. It wasn't the case 10 years ago. It looks like Russia...
It wasn't the case during his first tenure.
So Russia seemed to have discovered another path into making friends with Africa and some countries around the world who are doing fairly good with their technology and even some of the policies they have in the economy. You talk about India, you talk about South Africa, you talk about even North Korea that has got some technological advancement in the issue of biological weapons. So these countries are in BRICS, and Nigeria is now in BRICS, but not as a member, but as a partner.
Nigeria is as a spectator. What are you doing? So, you see, let me tell you, the American interest is first. And there's currently a transnational and sub-pipe of gas that is going through Nigeria, through Mali, Niger, all those way to Morocco, will land in Europe. I think it's been done by one of the American companies. Okay, so that strategic alliance will be there. Then they also have the issues of one of the failures of the Biden administration is what they did with Russia. They didn't handle it well. When that, first of all, there was a gentleman agreement when the USSR fell in the 90s, in the early 90s. And one of the gentleman agreement that I had with Mikhail Gorbachev was that the NATO alliance will not come to
close.
Former USSR members' territory. And, just a gentleman agreement. And before they started moving until they came to the doorstep of Russia, which is Ukraine, where you can launch. When it comes to military sophistication, Russia and America are always at loggerheads. Now you want to launch a base because NATO, Ukraine being part of NATO, will have access to America launching a base, striking distance. So Russia said that will not happen. And America will rather not allow that to happen. When Russia tried it in 1968 or 67, when they wanted to build a missile base in Cuba, because Cuba was close to America, America went and bombed the hell out of the place, and nothing happened. Until today, America did not only bomb that place, America annexed it and declared it an American territory. Today, that's what they call the Guantanamo Bay, where they now send all this there. Till today, America still administers it as its territory. So why would America want to do that 50 or 60 years later, 55 years later? And I think Russia will fold its arms. So that triggers that war. And when that in reply to it, so some people don't know how international politics work. You think Russia will fold its arms? So the only language Russia thought it was a military invasion. And when that happened, the successive actions that made the European partners take was what led to this thing we just talked about, that Russia started looking for new friends. What did they do? The international sorting code for payments that Russia was also part, they yanked Russia away from that system.
That's right.
And made Russia stranded. Russia could not make international payments. They could not do anything. And Russia's assets were freezed. When they were doing even their external reserve and some of those things that were domiciled in the United States, you don't do that. You do not do that. So America did that. Something that has been unheard of. Foreign reserve of a nation and so many other things, so many of their assets, you seized it, you blockaded their gas from being sold to Europe. You did a lot of things to them. So you left them, people that we had strategic alliances with before, two most powerful nations, trying to, and then you let them go. So what did they do? They started looking for new friends. So China, well, always with America and Russia, at least they were trading partners, collaborating. Now, that thing is no more there. And it is the failure of the Biden administration that made that happen. They have made a diplomatic error there. So now, Russia went closer to China. Russia went closer to India. Russia went closer to even Turkey. And Russia is now seeking new friends, So they are seeking new friends. And that was exactly what is happening now. So the BRICS nation, remember it was just BRIC nation before. It was Brazil, Russia, India, and China.
That's right.
BRIC. So they were looking for an African partner that will be part of it. And what they now got was, they got South Africa.
That's right.
And that is how it became BRICS.
Yeah,
you understand?
BRICS, yeah.
So that BRICS nation, if Nigeria was a very serious country that was supposed to be, strong nation. It was supposed to be maybe BRIC or whatever they call it, BRIC. But because Nigeria was not nowhere to be found in the terms of economic equation.
Neither here nor there.
All the indices that were supposed to do, and Nigeria was jumping. You see, this say that they told them to come and be spectators in BRICS.
They are just.
They are just come and okay, BRICS people will do partner with you, and I bet you Nigeria will be loser in that this thing, because what they will not do, what they will tell Nigeria, open your markets, let BRICS goods come in. Do this, do that, free trade with BRICS nation, this and that. And at the end of the day, they will get, BRICS nation will get reduced tariff, they will get some tax holidays, they will get this and that. And at the end of the day, we'll be the ones losing. The ACTA, African Continental Free Trade Agreement, that where is it today? The AGOA, African Growth Opportunity Act that Bill Clinton brought. We didn't make use of those things. We don't make use of opportunities. And so when the BRICS came, so America will be interested in what is happening with the BRICS nation. And they may want to now see how they can even break it up by offering strategies, by trying to win Putin back, by trying to do all those kind of things.
By offering sanctions. You never know.
I don't know. They may just want to lift up some of the sanctions that were there already.
Yes.
And embargoes.
Yes, we'll have about 4 minutes to go. But isn't it possible that with all that happened during the Trump's first presidency, that some of the people of the world that were afraid of him were misunderstanding the man? Now that you know that he's upfront, that he doesn't hide his feelings about things, is it possible that countries that want to benefit from the U.S. should change their strategy? Instead of going to take on the man, maybe you have to look at the policy that is turning him against you in the first place.
No, I think the people that were just going against Trump were the Americans themselves. I don't think any other country of the world was going against him. It was not the Americans themselves. Because the establishment does not want him there. So the establishment know what they are gaining. They know how they control things, how they run things. Now this man is very difficult to control. It's very difficult to be sent on errands. It's very difficult to be dictated to. So he does things how he wants it done, and he owns up to it. And the Trump presidency this time will be more easier for him because majority of the Congress members are now Republicans. So his political party is in charge of the legislature. So he's also it's going to have it easier for him to make policies, especially policies that touch on economy and then some of those are touching everything about religion, about some other things that he will not tolerate, and so many other things. The issue of LGBTQ is still a big issue in America. The issue of abortion, the issue of safe abortion, and so there's a lot of issues that he promised that he's going to do. And that he will do them. And if he does them, if you do what you said you would do, then that means you are credible, you have integrity. And that's what he did in the first time. But how he does it is what some people may not like. But some people don't care. Now, as you said, maybe they have known his pattern better. Just give us the deliverables. And I don't know if American system of government allows him again to run again, whether or
no, he's done. I mean,
he's done. So when he does this one, he's done. So if he's done, he wants to use the 4 years to leave a lasting legacy of himself. And
so you think this is an opportunity for Trump to cement his name in history?
He has already cemented it in history now.
I mean, he
has
4 years to maybe do something.
He's the second man in history already again that was an incumbent that lost. And he came back just after the tenure and contested again, and he won. He's the second man in the 200 and since America's independence in 1776. He's the second person to have done that, so that's historical enough. And then we want to watch him. He will take his oath of office in January, and then his tenure will begin to run. And I'm sure that a lot of the countries will start adjusting to the Trump reality. And for the warmongers and people who make money through war, I think the bazaar is over, and he's more interested in. I think that's why he won the election. The people voted him in because they believe he's the person that will fix the problem of unemployment, the problem of inflation, and the problem of job creation. He will fix that problem, and then when he fixes that, even the health system, a lot of things are collapsing in America. So I think he wants to look at America that used to be the destination almost of everybody. Now even students, many people don't want to go to America. Everybody is going to UK. Canada is taking over. So why? Something's definitely wrong there. So America believes that Trump will fix it, and there's a lot of burden on him in the next 4 years to do that.
All right. I mean, just to relieve what he used to say, let's make America great again. Thank you so much, Dr. Ambrose Ibuke, for your analysis tonight on the Eastern Eye.
Thank you very much for having me on the show.
And that's the Eastern Eye for tonight. Up next is Nka with Jumai Bolama Ashebu. My name is Alex Obodo. Good night.